the emotions are all over the place. There's fear, and there's, some anger, and there's some determination, and some, finding of strength that you didn't know you had. And you just have to get through this part and take help, which is hard. And listen to yourself, because if you are a person that needs the energy of others, then that's not wrong for you going through this. But also, if you just need to circle the wagons and get closer and, find peace in more solitude or quiet, then that's not wrong either.
Welcome to the EnVibe Life podcast with Amy Parker and Cheryl Dunn. By tuning in, you are joining a community that will inspire you to increase balance, wellness, and joy in your life. We'll offer expert information and insightful conversations to help us all on our journey to live more in vibe. For more information and articles, remember to also check out our website at envibelife.com. That's EnVibelife.com. And we're grateful that you're here. Welcome to the EnVibe Life podcast with Amy Parker and Cheryl Dunn. And today we have a very special guest that is near and dear to me, Brandi Nelson. Brandy, I guess I've known Brandy. How long now, Brandy?
Yeah, I think so.
Almost 15 years. Yeah. So I know I'm super excited that I get to do this with you today. The conversation we want to have is about breast cancer and that journey, and bring light onto the fact that October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And we are recording this in October of 2020. And so obviously there's so much going on that I feel like people are forgetting that this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we really want to talk about it and put that out there. So the first person that I thought of to call to talk about this journey was you, Brandy, because I went through this with you, and Amy and I, before we started this podcast, we talked about how the way you embodied getting through that and combining your attitude and your movement and how you handled it was awesome. And you might not have felt that, but we saw that. So we just kind of want to talk about it.
You might have not realized how you were inspiring other people when you were.
Well, thank you. It was, it all feels very, it feels like a long time ago, and it feels like, I can't believe how long it's been. So
when was it? Tell us.
So I was diagnosed in March, I believe, of 2013. And it was really strange how I found it, but I had skipped a year on my mammogram, and I didn't realize it. I mean, it's just kind of one of those things. It snuck up on me. And then I think I was probably right at a year over on my mammogram. And I just felt this little lump on the side of my right breast, and it kind of felt like a little pine nut or something. That's kind of how I pictured it. And I don't know if I was, taking off my shirt or something and brushed against it, but I was like, that is strange, and I don't recall it. And so I started kind of, okay, well, I'm going to go get this checked out. And I remember talking to you, Cheryl, and
I know.
We
you came over
were
to my office and told me about it, and I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be fine."
Yeah.
I can picture it.
Yeah.
Like it happened yesterday.
Yeah. It was. I just kind of had a feeling, and I don't know why, but it was just. I just kind of knew what was about to. Not. I didn't know what was about to happen, but I just kind of knew that it was something. And so I went in for my mammogram, and I got into my OB-GYN first, and she immediately handed me a little list with names of surgeons. So the first doctor outside of my sphere of doctors that I was a patient of at the time, I was armed with this little list of surgeons. And so before I even got my mammogram scheduled, I had an appointment with Dr. Askew, who is a surgeon here in town, general surgeon, and he was fantastic. But so I got in with him, and then I believe how it went was I had a mammogram with ultrasound, and the radiologist wanted to see me right away because it was apparently the pine nut that I felt was something on something else. So that wasn't the whole of the tumor. It was on a larger mass that was in my breast, and they could see that. It was kind of fuzzy imaging. They couldn't tell exactly how large, but if that little pine nut part hadn't been on there, I don't know. I don't know that I wouldn't have been alerted to it.
Well, and that's important. I mean, when we asked you to come on here, it was really because we wanted you to share your story in general, like just in general, to increase breast cancer awareness. And like I said at the beginning, you were such an inspiration to me as I watched you go through this. And I saw some similarities in how you approach this as when I had my health issues a few years before, I think kind of saying, I'm going to determine my fate, or I'm going to be a part of this, not just subject to it. And so you inspired me in that. And I'd love you to talk about it. But something you just said popped out huge for me right now, because during COVID, we are hearing that many people are not going in for their regular treatments or their regular checkups. Some clinics weren't even open for a long time. And I mean, when you're saying a year, that doesn't really seem like a long time.
Right. And I just feel like time, before we know it, we will have been in what we're going through right now. It'll be a year later.
For a year.
Right.
It's pretty crazy. And so I would definitely encourage people to at least talk to their doctors and try to have as much of their normal schedule with regard to those things as they can during this time. So I had my appointment with my oncologist via telemed this time. My year checkup is May every year. And so Texas Oncology was not having people come in that were not in treatment right then for the safety of everyone. And so I just talked to her like this. But
I love it.
And I'll get in for my, my physical, just the physical examination as soon as I can. But I don't think they're scheduling those right now. So
one thing I want to talk about, because you did something super special during your treatment, which to me, going through treatment with you, and I think that was my first time ever to have somebody super close to me going through any sort of cancer treatment. Mm-hmm. So going through it with you, it seemed like it was forever. You were in treatment a really long time. It seemed like it was not easy. It was forever. And it was halfway through, if I'm remembering correctly, that you held a big party. Now, obviously that sounds crazy during COVID days, but then it was really awesome. And so I just want to talk about like what most women or most people maybe don't have the energy or don't think to do that, but you chose to celebrate where you were. And I just kind of want to talk about that because it was great.
Yeah, that was a great party.
It was a great party.
That particular milestone was halfway through chemo, and looking back on it now, what I didn't realize was I had another year and a half, left to go. This was switching from the first kind of chemo to the second kind of chemo. And I guess I just kind of thought I was almost done. And I wasn't. But that's just how it turned out. But yeah, just wanted to celebrate that and see all the people that were lifting me up and, just being so kind, and I just kind of wanted to gather everybody together, and it was a really fun day. It was the house. There were lots of people there. It was a really fun.
It was fun. And as somebody who, like, as being an outsider, not the person going through it, you feel helpless. Like you feel like there's nothing I can do for you. I did what I thought I could do. But when you had that party, it made, I think all of us that were wanting to be there for you, it made us have something we could do for you. And I'm not saying everybody needs to go throw a party, but it really was like, yes, we can celebrate this milestone. And you're right. We had no idea that there's no way that was halfway.
No, there isn't. It wasn't. And I had an interesting thing happen. So after I kind of had, I was one of those people that whatever the side effects were or whatever kind of crazy things can go on, they happened. And so I had some setbacks. I don't, and just kind of things had to be delayed here and there, which I don't think is unusual at all when you're going through such a heavy duty treatment as this. But after chemo, I think that's when I did my gyrotonic foundation training.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. Skipping ahead.
You started it.
Yeah, I started it. But before the mastectomy, I remember really kind of doing a little gyro boot camp in LA on a vacation. Went to a studio there and got to work with Lisa Marie, who is also a cancer survivor. And those experiences, getting to be around other people who were had gone through before me, was extremely, extremely helpful and positive for me. And I had a mentor that some friends introduced me to. So I've been that kind of for some people on this other side. It's really interesting because I do know a few people going through right now, and it just reminds me every day how far that is in my rear view. And all the things that we're talking about today they feel like they happened almost to someone else, you know, so long ago. So I guess that when I got my first cancer-free checkup was right after chemo. So it was between chemo and some surgeries. And that was the first time that I had I think I had a PET scan and some other imaging, and was declared cancer-free at that time. And went on to do radiation and a year of an infusion drug called Herceptin, which I got to do that as another arrow in the quiver because the guidelines had changed. And so the particulars of my case were such that I was then eligible to go through that treatment and use it as another line of defense to battle, recurrence.
That was not easy though, was it?
Mm-hmm. It wasn't. It was chemo light. It certainly wasn't anywhere near it wasn't as debilitating as the first round. But I still definitely had symptoms that I noticed didn't let up until after that, after I was done with that infusion drug.
So Brandy, as someone who was a little more removed from your experience, but still seeing you on a regular basis in the studio as you were going through it, two things that struck me then, and I still remember about that time now. One was you always seemed to be happy. You had a positive attitude the whole time. And I know that can't have been true in every instance of your life, but I would say it seemed that you were choosing that or trying to bring that about. And two, you kept moving the whole time, like gyro and Pilates, moving the energy, moving your body physically. Do you think those things helped? Do you attribute those things as part of your wellness program, or talk about those a little
bit? Absolutely. I was in the best possible spot I could have been in to go through this. I had already started working at Core. I was dipping my toe in and working the desk, and kind of had a different plan, different vision for how it was all going to go down. But it was great to be there in the studio, and I got such tremendous energy from all of the people, the patients, as well as the other instructors and Stephen and Cheryl. And yeah, I just kept moving and fitting as much of that in as I possibly could. And I feel like it really got my body strong, but also my mind to go up against the surgeries and to kind of get through that. I did feel very positive going through, and I definitely had days that, no one saw, or that I couldn't come into the studio, or just wasn't up to it. But having that community and those modalities that I really enjoyed and loved made a tremendous difference for me, I feel, both mentally and physically. I was prepared when I went in for surgeries and to go through radiation and the rest of what I was dealt in treatment.
Well, and this is just one reason why, Cheryl, we talk about, know yourself, set a foundation for yourself so that then when you handle those hard times, you're prepared.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And listen to yourself. And I felt like you were doing that, not realizing how much you were doing that. Like when you first felt that lump, you didn't question it. It's like you told, like you've said this many times, you knew before anyone had to tell you anything. You knew it. So it's just that listening to that intuitive voice. And I think that's something that you're very in tune with, is hearing it, listening to it when it tells you you can push, and listening to it when it tells you you can't push.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I felt like when you were going through that treatment, like you mentioned, not coming in some days, and I didn't even think of that until you just said that, because there were so few days that you weren't up to it. And usually I felt like those days were more around complications with surgeries and stuff like that. And
I think that's true.
Yeah, you kept your spirit up and your energy up. But you listen to your body when I feel like just today you're good about listening, and that's important. And knowing that, the rest of the audience doesn't know this, but Brandy continues to do exercise to a certain level that at times she pushes herself really hard. She recently signed up we were doing 4 days in a row, 5 hours a day, which is a lot. We do get breaks in there and stuff, so it's not as extreme as it might sound, but it's a lot. It's pushing your body to what our normal isn't. And you weren't able, you're way out of cancer treatment, but you listened to your body that said, you know what? I know you've paid for this. I know you've set this time out. I know you were looking forward to it.
Yeah, I really was.
Yeah. But you also knew that you just couldn't push it. And I think that's important.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that's something everybody needs to respect, whether they're going through treatment or just going through 2020.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
I know. 2020 is something. But I feel like, this interview is such a good reminder to me too of the importance of those things to me. And I'm in a different line of work now, although I still get to teach some and I get to be in the studio some. But my schedule and my life are a lot different than they were when I was working at the studio all the time. And I need to get back to that, kind of discipline and get more of those things in my life, the gyrotonic and Pilates and more movement. And it's really important, and it really was important. And it, it was my happy thing. So
Love it.
It wasn't hard for me to want to do that. So.
Awesome. So I want to talk a little bit about, your journey with breast cancer. You can correct me on this, but to me, it seemed like it was maybe over 2 years.
It was.
Right?
It was. It was right. It was right at 2 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I felt like it led you through this roller coaster of emotions, which I think is completely normal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not easy, but you're going through, and you had stage 3, stage 4.
It was stage 3.
Stage 3, which I think when your doctor tells you that, I can imagine that being a blow.
Yep.
Because it's one thing, I don't know, I don't want to put light on any stage, but because you felt like a little bitty pine nut, and then they tell you it's stage 3. I remember hearing that news and just kind of like, it makes me want to tear up talking about it now, because you just are like, how did this happen?
Right. Right.
Yeah, you start to have that feeling. And so that creates this roller coaster of emotions, because and then things are going well, and then things are not going well, and then things are going well again, and things are not going well. And then you have, work and relationships and people around you, and how people want to support and how we can't always support, or we don't feel like we're supporting. And I think it's exhausting in all realms of it. Mm-hmm. When you finished all of that, and now I think finish is probably the wrong word. Like the doctors say, okay, no more chemo, no more radiation.
Right.
You're cancer free. Your reconstruction is done.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's like, did you have this feeling of like, what now? Or did you feel relief? What did you feel?
I absolutely had that feeling of, so during treatment, I had a mission. I knew what I had to do. I just had to get through it. And then it's this strange combination, and I'm not going to be able to articulate it all that well, but it's this strange feeling of letdown when things kind of start to go maybe to a more normal kind of existence. I didn't have that pointed mission, anymore. And I remember reading, I was feeling all of these feelings of, okay, yeah, what do I do with myself now? And it caused turmoil in my life, these emotions. And also I feel like I didn't process a lot while I was going through. I just kind of got through. And then that left me with just a whole bushel of things to deal with, emotionally and spiritually and physically. But I remember reading at the time a woman's, maybe it was a blog post, but it was in the New York Times, and she was very young and had a different kind of cancer, but she was talking about how people don't really know kind of where to put you. You look okay, you look normal, you might be the color you're supposed to be as far as pallor, or you've gotten kind of healthy color back, and you kind of look, you just look different than when going through treatment. Hair's coming back and eyebrows and all that stuff. But you feel changed on the inside, and changed by the experience, and your relationships with people around you are also changed. And as a result of kind of this turmoil, my partner at the time and I broke up after 18 years, and that was a huge change in my life. And it was, yeah, I all kinds of things changed. I changed, work changed a little bit, but that was the biggest one. And I'm really happy to say that my ex and I we're friends, and we're pretty close. And you can't go through something like that with somebody and not have some kind of a bond. But she was an amazing partner to have going through all of that, and I'm very, very grateful to her for that, and also for the friendship that we have now.
Also, Amy and I have this belief, or we've kind of talked about that, sometimes things happen in our lives to jumpstart a new road or kick us out of something, and it might be really bad things we're going through, but they push us to light, even though you had to go through the dark to find it. And so I don't know, does that resonate with maybe?
I feel like sometimes the universe will shake us by the shoulders.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that is definitely one way. That's definitely, I think, what happened with me. I didn't want things to go back to the way they were before. I couldn't even contemplate that. And so there had to be some changes And
that's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
It is. And I think it's really important for people facing something like this to hear. First of all, I think be kind and gentle and compassionate with yourself. And know there's so much more to what you are going through and what you will go through than just, the very medical, technical parts of what you're going through and understanding of that as it's happening.
And I think that it's a common theme for people when they're done with treatment to kind of feel a little lost after that. And I didn't have children. I mean, that's an obvious thing that'll snap you back to, your life, or, some sort of normalcy, I think. But because you've got to be there for them, and you just got to take care of it. But not having that, I think I did. I felt lost because of what I had been through, but then I also felt a little bit lost after that, because I didn't have that mission after that for a little bit. So,
how long would you say it took you to maybe get on the other side of that, not knowing what to do now? Or that when you realized that? How long do you think that took? Or is that still?
I mean, I might still be trying to figure it out a bit, but I would say it was a couple of years, I think. And I made some drastic changes kind of all at once. Everybody doesn't do it that way, but that's what my story was. And so I think I'm probably, I definitely feel like I'm not the same person as before I was diagnosed. And I feel like my relationships with my family are different, and stronger, with my family, with my parents, especially, and with some friends too. But lots of relationships are changed and changing and different than they were before. But I still, I feel so grateful to everyone. I mean, I feel like I was kind of lifted every day by something someone would say or do, and they probably didn't even know they were doing it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love people to look for that, whether they're going through something or not. What a beautiful message.
It, yeah. And so it's really, like, you don't even know what you're doing for someone else when you are kind or positive or just make some even, small gesture.
So, Brandy, you talked about the importance of a mentor for you and that you now serve that role for other women going through this. What are some things you want to tell women out there going through this battle right now?
Well, I think that I like the women that I have kind of been there for since then have all been different, they're very different, and at different stages in their lives. And I think just having to find somebody that has been through so that they can just listen to you, I think is really, really important. And the emotions are all over the place. there's fear, and there's, some anger, and there's some determination, and some, finding of strength that you didn't know you had. And you just have to get through this part and take help, which is hard. But and listen to yourself, because if you are a person that needs the energy of others, then that's not wrong for you going through this. But also, if you just need to circle the wagons and get closer, and find peace in more solitude, or quiet, then that's not wrong either. Whatever it takes to get you through. And definitely, I would say try to rest, which is also hard, but very key. And try to keep doing things that you love while you're going through it and after. The things that kind of home you, and that you can get back to. As far as, medically, I think that it's always good to have someone to talk to about, just because I've forgotten a lot of things. Mm-hmm. But when I listen to someone talk about, the moment at hand in their life, I can remember and say, yes, I had that too, or this is what I did. Those kinds of things I think are invaluable for during the battle.
And on that note, I'll also add, I know that when I was going through my medical issues, and actually both of my parents went through battles with cancer, and I served as a caregiver role to them and played this role for them. Take someone with you to those doctor's appointments, because you're not feeling well, and you're not going to, even if you're really good at processing things like that, mm-hmm. you just don't feel well. And so to have someone supporting you in that way can be valuable.
Absolutely. I think it's pretty, I think that's pretty imperative. And Tanya would take a laptop in when we would see everyone and just type away, because I'm sure I was just kind of blinking and mm-hmm. trying to listen, but not really catching all of it. And, we could refer to those notes and kind of know what to expect more. But and those details are really important.
Mm-hmm. They'll come back, or you'll be sitting a week later and think, wait, what did he say about that? I don't quite remember. Exactly. And so let me ask you the flip side. What advice do you give to the loved ones, the caregivers, the friends, maybe even acquaintances who don't quite know what to do or say?
I think that one thing would be understand that you're not always, if you're a partner especially, you might get some of the negativity and sadness and fear and anger more than other people will, and just try to be okay with that, and just realize that the person going through is in some amount of physical pain as well as psychic pain, and they might not always be themselves, and just try to keep things as normal as possible, and just listening, I think, is so important. And Yeah, those are all big ones, I think.
Those are great pieces of advice.
Yeah, definitely. So I think this is probably a good time to ask our famous EnVibe Life question. And Brandy and I kind of talked about this a little bit. What do you do to keep yourself balanced?
Well, I'm a Libra, so that's a very it's dicey on a daily basis whether or not there's any balance. Just constantly like this. I think that well, I think that the I'm learning that I do need to move. It makes me feel better, and kind of gotten away from it a little bit with the COVID, but I need to do that because it helps my head and my body. I There might have been more wine consumption during COVID than there was before, but I do enjoy some wine. That's one way of getting some balance in.
Wait, I have to fess up that Brandy and I joked about the balance was the coffee in the morning and the wine in the evening. And now that might not be a joke some days, right?
And some days they get closer together right now. But I think, well, and my current partner, Jen, really is somebody that she's pretty good at the balance thing. So I try to take some cues from her. She's done this remote working thing for quite a while, and she's good at it. So I try to take some cues from her, and she's definitely a good example of needing to move and really knowing herself in that way. I'm sorry. And okay.
Those are your babies.
The other thing is that I have, 4 dogs that I'm quite crazy about. I'm a crazy dog lady, and that is one of my major outlets, is just enjoying them and drawing them close.
I feel like they're just saying, "Mom, you forgot about us."
I know. He's not usually the noisy one, which is why he's in here. But yeah, I think that this is getting long. COVID's getting long, and I think that is a good question, and I think it's a real challenge right now to have balance, and we have to actively seek it right now. Well, and I think that's a great challenge anyway.
And you've already said you're a community person, a people person. So
yes,
yeah.
And I'm not getting that energy from others of being in an office, with 50 people right now. So, but trying to find some other ways, and knowing that eventually it will be changed, but eventually, we'll be back with each other and in some form or fashion.
So, Definitely. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Brandy. I think this has been awesome and super fun and informative. You had a lot of great information, and it's just nice for you to get to tell your story, and people get to hear that it's not easy, but you will manage to find joy and light during it.
Yes. Yes. And I think that's important. I think that's really important. And I'm just grateful to all of y'all for getting me through it.
Well, Brandy, you're an inspiration to me, and I think to Cheryl. And so we hope others will find your words and your story inspirational as well. So thank you so much for being brave and being willing to come on this format with us.
Thank
really
you
grateful.
so much. I enjoyed it. And I'm not nervous anymore.
I just want to thank everybody who's listening. And if you have not gone out and done your yearly mammogram, Brandy is a billboard for going out and doing that. I feel a little hypocritical saying that. Not hypocritical, that's not the word. I'm like more talking to myself, maybe.
Well, and people have different views on that, but just check up and however you choose to take care of yourself and maintain your health.
It's important. It's very important.
It is. It is.
If not for yourself, for your loved ones that want you around.
Exactly. Exactly. That is the truth. So,
well, thank you, Brandy.
Thank you.
This has been awesome.
I'll see you soon.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the EnVibe Life podcast. For more information and to join our community, be sure and check out our website at www.envibelife.com. We look forward to sharing with you.